Wharton exchange happens during the peak recruitment season. And so if you're going for the Wharton exchange, be very sure that it will definitely hurt your recruitment preparations as well as options.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Roll Call where we help you answer your questions on all things MBA, career and life. So let us know what's your question.
Our guest today comes with a strong VC and management consulting background. He studied computer science at IIT Bombay, one of the finest engineering institutes in India, and went on to work for Kearney as a management consultant. He was also sponsored by Kearney to pursue his MBA from INSEAD and had a thriving stint at the company before becoming the vice president at the VC firm Guild Capital.
So ladies and gentlemen, meet Mehul Jain. Mehul, it is wonderful to have you on Roll Call.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
So Mehul, we have quite a few questions that we want to ask you. If you are ready, we can get started.
Let's get started.
So Mehul, in this part of the interview, we will be digging deeper into your time and experiences at INSEAD. Now you joined the school at 25 and typically we see the average age in the MBA program to be around 29.
Yeah.
What were the challenges and opportunities that you faced as a result of pursuing MBA early?
So, once you get into INSEAD, the age really doesn't matter. You get the same amount of respect and opportunities as anybody who's much older. And if people who are much older were applying, you'll get the same amount of opportunities as people who are much younger. So it can be an advantage or a disadvantage. You have to look at INSEAD or MBA as a professional decision, like you do any kind of career job decision. You will get a set of opportunities at the end of the program, and if that works for you as your next career step, you should take it. You will never feel in the program that you're too old or you're too young. It's very collegial. It's like a college environment. Everyone's the same. A lot of people won't even realize, like a lot of people used to think I was 30 years old until they found out that I'm not. And I mean, it's really even the group discussions with people much older are very, very respectful. They don't undermine your age in any respect. Yeah, I mean, as a young student there's a very big opportunity that you have on your hands is to learn from a lot of people who are way more experienced than you in actually very specific areas. So as a consultant, you would have gained a breadth of knowledge. You're like a jack of all trades. You've studied a little bit of marketing, a little bit of operations, a little bit of strategy. But then there's someone who spent 10 years in marketing, someone who spent 10 years in ops. There is so much to learn from them. So a lot of your learning will not happen in the class. If you're doing an operations class, it might feel like it's a downgrade from the engineering kind of rigor and mathematics. And quite frankly, it is meant for everyone. It's not meant for someone who's an engineer. So they're doing it right. But a lot of your learning will happen in your group discussions where people will learn from you and you will learn a lot from people. It's not just the content material as well, a lot of maturity as well. If there's someone who's 30, 35, they have seen so many situations that they know how to handle it. And I would suggest everyone to spend a lot of time with people who are more experienced in the area that they're going into, as well as generally more experienced to learn how to handle situations which are very challenging interpersonally.
Got it. So as a continuation of that question, for someone who doesn't fall in the typical range of age one sees at INSEAD, would you have any tips on how one can position oneself while applying?
While applying, I would say that you should never be defensive about the age, whether you are too young or too old. Don't try to tackle that question because that is not really a question that the admissions consultant will ask. They will ask the question whether at this stage of the career is MBA a right decision for you and what are your motivations. So even if you are say 40 and you are at a career stage where a post MBA opportunity is extremely relevant for you, the admissions consultant will not really ask, oh, he's 40, but like he's at a stage of his career. Same for 25. Like I was at a stage of my career where I was 3 years into management consulting, and a lot of recruiters at INSEAD would give me an opportunity to do the role that they are offering at INSEAD to INSEAD MBAs. And so don't try to tackle that. Focus on your strengths, focus on your experiences, focus on your stories. Now, if you're too young, you typically have lesser stories. So that can be a disadvantage. So you might want to build your profile in such a way that in a shorter span of time, you can build a good amount of experiences and stories, and uh, they need to be dictating your essays and highlighting your strengths and weaknesses. As long as you have that, your age, less or more, is not really a factor, and I would suggest not to really try and tackle that question in your application.
Got it. So you've given quite interesting advices. Another thing that we mentioned earlier was that you were sponsored by Kearney to pursue the INSEAD MBA. Any tips for our audience on how, again, they can position themselves to get company sponsorship?
Kearney has a very structured program. You can apply internally as long as you've completed 2 years in Kearney, and they have a 2-year bond when they come back. Most consulting firms have such a program. In India, a few of them are kind of retracting their program for international MBAs, but Kearney still has that. If you're at a consulting firm, then your performance speaks for itself. You need to be able to get your mentor on board and submit the application. Make sure that you know the deadlines so that you don't miss them, because it's structured. It also means that you have to meet the deadlines of submission and you have to know about them. And that should be fairly straightforward. If you're really not performing well, then they're not going to sponsor you. If you're really performing very well and they want you back, they're definitely going to sponsor you. So it's a fairly straightforward thing. If you're really not in a structured program or in a company which is not very structured, try talking to the senior most person you're comfortable talking to, and gauge whether there is an appetite in the company to do something which is out of the normal. If there is no appetite for something out of the normal, you should kind of take it that you will not get sponsored. You can apply anyway. You can write an email to the CEO or whatever anyway in a very respectful manner, and only good things can come out of it. You're not going to get fired because you asked for sponsorship. Sometimes you don't want to disclose that you're going to apply for an MBA, so you can word it carefully that you're trying to apply 2 years down the line, and so you're exploring whether the company can sponsor you, and there are many ways to position it. But the trick is to get to the decision makers. Your immediate manager might not know or might not have the say in even making that decision.
Okay, all right. Now, you mentioned earlier that when you were in Kearney, you were already getting roles or positions on that were equivalent to what an MBA, post-MBA candidate would get. With that in mind, what were your expectations going into the INSEAD MBA, and were the expectations met?
Yeah, I mean, INSEAD MBA, definitely with a sponsorship, I could do it earlier because I didn't have to find finances. My expectation was to have fun for a year, get access to international opportunities, and also kind of, I love being in these kind of multicultural environments, and that's why international projects always attracted me, and I was very good with them. I was very good with the client teams who were not really from India or didn't share the culture. So I love that. I wanted a good network so that in the future I can use it. All of this I did get. I was very clear that academics is not why I want to do an MBA, because it's really not something that is path breaking, especially at a general MBA program. And it's kind of it's very different from a lot of people. Like a lot of people have a very focused thing that I wanted to go into consulting, I want to go into VC, I want to be. That was not my ambition. I eventually didn't take up any international opportunity, but that was a decision I made after looking at my options. Because I was sponsored, I was actually able to come back to India immediately after. It's a difficult decision if you have to pay back a loan, but for me, it was that made the sponsorship made it easier, and so I looked at the international opportunities, I created the network, and I decided to come back to India. And I still have the INSEAD MBA, so I still have access to a lot of international opportunities that a lot of people don't have because they don't have an international.
So just wanted to point out for our viewers that Mehul did say how academics was not something that he was looking into when going into INSEAD, but he ended up in the dean's list when he graduated. Mehul, since we've already talked, we know how your profile is completely different when you joined college at 25, and then you got sponsored as well. Another interesting fact is that you spent an exchange period at Wharton Business School. So for those of you, or those of our viewers who do not know, INSEAD students can choose to spend the period exchanging at one of our partner schools, Wharton, Kellogg, and SEEPS. So Mehul, could you tell us a bit more about your time and Wharton and how it all happened?
Um, the the process is very simple. You kind of get an email that you can apply. You apply. Mostly you get it. I think there were 35 or 40 people who went to Wharton in my class. And it's not like there's a lot of competition. And there's a very strong reason why. Wharton exchange happens during the peak recruitment season. And so if you're going for the Wharton exchange, be very sure that it will definitely hurt your recruitment preparations as well as options, because a lot of companies feel like you're not seriously interested in Singapore opportunities or Europe opportunities if you're really spending time at Wharton and they're not able to meet you in person. Some consulting companies make an extra effort to actually reach out to the Wharton folks. So McKinsey and BCG actually did reach out and we were able to speak to them, but a lot of them won't. Now, there is always a flip side to it. If you really, and I'm guessing some of the viewers do have a US work permit, then it can be an extremely good decision because you can actually access the Wharton career services as well, and that gives you an added advantage if you're seriously looking at US recruiting. I mean, that's just the recruiting part. Now, in terms of experience, Wharton is part of the University of Pennsylvania. It's located in Philadelphia, which has three big universities. So it's really a student town. It's probably a little unsafe as a city, but the university culture is amazing. You have people like Jack Welch coming and speaking at the university because there are like 30,000 people in UPenn, and the events are huge. INSEAD is just an MBA school, which means that at any given point there's like 1,000 to 2,000 people who can be an audience for anything. So the scale of things that happens in Wharton is huge. The quality of teaching and the quality of students I felt was very similar. It was like people, half of them didn't read the case study before they came to class. Same at Wharton, same at INSEAD. The professors professors were really good at INSEAD as well, at Wharton as well. They were very, very strong at, I'm sure they are well paid as well, but they're very strong in what they teach. So you really won't feel like you're getting shortchanged there. And the other important thing is that if you're going to Wharton, you will only be able to take half semester courses at Wharton. You will not be able to take any full semester courses because their full semester is 4 months. Right? So you need to, and it's not very difficult to do this. You need to just like have a look. If you're going for the academics, just have a look at what courses you have access to, what will be your option. And so these are the few differences. I think what did I miss out? I don't think I missed out anything. If you want to go around in the US and travel the US, yeah, sure, that's a good option because your core you won't spend more than 2, 3, or 4 days doing course or curriculum related stuff. You'll have a lot of free time and you'll make some friends at Wharton as well. You can go travel around like you do at INSEAD.
This brings us to the end of part 1 of our interview with Mehul, where we discussed his journey through INSEAD. We hope you liked this video. Stay tuned as we release the second part of his interview next week, where we will get to know more about Mehul's time as a management consultant and a venture capitalist. Please like and share this video in your networks and subscribe to our channels. We are now active on our social media handles as well, links to which are mentioned below. We post snippets of our videos and behind the scenes there. Thank you and stay safe.